Amazon voiced concerns about Anthropic AI models before U.S. government's crackdown, source says. The leverage shift starts now. Here is the signal that separates noise from actionable change. We will map trigger, incentive shift, and downstream impact before the close. It raised concerns about Anthropic's AI models directly to people who matter, sources inside the U.S. government. Now those same regulators are moving. This timing isn't coincidence. Here's what happened. Amazon, one of the largest investors in Anthropic, spotted something in Claude's behavior or capabilities that concerned them enough to escalate beyond normal channels. They didn't post about it. They didn't tweet. They went straight to regulatory bodies. That's the kind of move companies make when they think there's a real problem, or when they're positioning themselves ahead of something bigger. Why does this matter? Because when a major investor starts warning governments about a partner's technology, two things become clear. First, Amazon sees a genuine risk they can't solve internally. Second, Amazon is signaling to regulators, we're the responsible actor here. We flagged this. That positioning matters in an environment where AI regulation is moving faster than most companies can adapt. The U.S. government's response has been telling. Within weeks of Amazon's concerns, regulatory pressure on Anthropic models intensified. This could be coincidence. More likely, it's not. When a company as large as Amazon, which has billions riding on AI, raises alarms through official channels, governments listen. And they move. Let's break down what this actually means for different stakeholders. For investors in Anthropic, this is a yellow flag. It suggests internal concerns exist about Claude's current capabilities or alignment that even Anthropic's biggest backer thinks need external oversight. That doesn't mean Anthropic is failing. It means Amazon saw something specific enough to warrant bringing in third parties. For developers and companies building on Claude, and there are thousands now, this creates uncertainty. If Amazon's concerns are validated by regulators, the capabilities you're currently using might face restrictions. The models you've optimized workflows around might change. That's a real operational risk. For Amazon itself, this move is strategically clever. By flagging concerns early, Amazon positions itself as the responsible investor. If regulation tightens around Anthropic, Amazon isn't the company that missed the warning, Amazon is the company that sounded the alarm. That matters for regulatory relationships and future government contracts. But here's what nobody's talking about yet. Amazon's concerns might not be about safety in the way regulators typically think about it. Amazon knows Claude better than almost any external party. Their concerns might be about competitive advantage, model drift, or capabilities that Amazon itself is developing. In other words, Amazon might be warning regulators about something that makes Anthropic stronger in ways Amazon doesn't want in the market. That's not cynicism. That's how tech companies actually operate. You don't invest billions in a competitor and then warn governments about them without self-interest involved. Amazon is protecting its position while appearing to protect the public interest. Both things can be true. What changes next? Watch for 3 things over the next 10 days. First, regulatory statements or actions specifically targeting Claude's capabilities or deployment. Second, announcements from Anthropic about changes to how they're rolling out Claude or what access they're granting. Third, Amazon's own moves in the AI space, any new partnerships, model releases, or policy positions that suggest Amazon is filling gaps left by Anthropic restrictions. The second signal to watch is enterprise adoption. If major companies start pulling back from Claude integrations in the next 30 days, that tells you Amazon's concerns found traction with customers, not just regulators. If adoption stays flat, Amazon's warning may have been more about positioning than substance. Third, watch Anthropic's own messaging. Do they defend their models publicly, or do they quietly make changes? Silence often means they acknowledge the concerns are valid but don't want to draw more regulatory attention. That's actually more bearish than a public defense. For India specifically, This matters because India's AI policy is heavily shaped by US and European regulatory moves. If the US government tightens restrictions on Anthropic, Indian startups and enterprises using Claude will feel that pressure within weeks. The tools they're building on might become less accessible or more regulated. That affects everyone from early-stage founders to large enterprises betting on Claude for customer service, content generation, and analysis. The bigger picture is this. The AI industry is moving into a phase where companies can no longer manage risk internally. Governments are inserting themselves into product decisions. When Amazon, one of the most politically connected companies in tech, starts routing concerns through official channels instead of internal discussions, it signals that the old model of self-regulation is ending. Anthropic and other frontier AI labs will increasingly face pressure from two directions: governments tightening rules, and major investors signaling concerns to those governments. Companies caught in the middle need to move faster than regulators can write policy. Claude's next release will tell you everything about whether Anthropic sees Amazon's warning as a market threat or a genuine safety signal they need to address. This is worth paying close attention to. The next 30 days will clarify whether Amazon's concerns become industry standards or fade into background noise. Subscribe to stay ahead of that shift. Amazon just warned the US government about Anthropic's AI models. That's not normal. When your biggest investor tells regulators there's a problem, two things happen. First, regulators move. Second, developers building on Claude start worrying. Amazon positions itself as the responsible player, and if regulations tighten, thousands of companies using Claude face real operational risk. Watch the next 10 days for Anthropic's response. Silence means they agree there's an issue. That matters if you're building on Claude or investing in AI right now. Focus on three layers: immediate trigger, structural incentive shift, and downstream effects on operators, users, and regulators. Then map scenario playbooks: optimistic execution, base case adaptation, and risk case where integration friction or policy reaction slows adoption. Close with concrete watchpoints and timeline markers instead of generic predictions.